Welcome everyone. Thank you for the invitation. So today I'm going to speak about the work we've done as a collaboration with VRT about diversity scoring of Flemish political news. So VRT is the main broadcaster, all support combined of Flemish political news in Belgium. So first, a bit of context. So if we take the latest figures from the Reuters digital report in Belgium, 76% of adults use online platforms as a source of news on a weekly basis. So, and this is kind of the same figure for every country in the OECD. So this is a very support that is widely used to get information. And in this context, Belgian news regulation authorities require media platforms to supply measures of their diversity in terms of demographics and political representations. And this is aligned with the trend currently to tackle this problem of opinion bubbles and polarization that are related to those recommender systems that are used online to give you the information. So opinion bubbles being the phenomenon that describe the fact that you're enclosed in a bubble of information where you only get information that is aligned with your opinions and that reinforce your own beliefs. And these opinion bubbles in some contexts can lead to a problem that's called polarization, which is that you've developed such strong opinions that you cannot tolerate anymore any opinions that are opposing to yours, which is detrimental in democracy because it totally prevents the debates. And so in the context of this collaboration, we were interested in characterizing the political biases and the demographic statistics of Flemish political news. So let me broach the technical aspects. So first, I'm going to present what is targeted sentiment analysis, which was the original title of the presentation. So basically, it's a technique that is mostly used in product reviews, where we try to not only get whether the review is positive or negative, but really what aspects of the review, what aspects of the product are positively mentioned and what are those that are negatively mentioned. And so in the context of the news, we are interested in the sentiment expressed toward the entities of the articles. So here you have two examples that helps you to differentiate between the overall polarity of a sentence and what is really targeted sentiment analysis. So in the first sentence, you can see that the sentence is, "I'm sad that John lost the presidential election." So this is overall negative, but if we're interested in the sentiment expressed towards John, it's positive because we're sad he has lost the presidential election. And you can also have like some sentences where you have several polarities at the same time. This one is fantastic, but the battery doesn't last long. So whether you're interested in knowing the polarity towards the phone or the battery, you don't get the same polarity, but overall you could say that the sentence is neutral. And so it's really challenging because the model has to really understand what parts of the sentence refer to what entities, and so basically the analysis we've done as part of the model I'm going to present is that if we're able to tell like the political affiliations of the entities within the articles and the sentiments expressed toward them, and that we aggregate them over each media outlet of the news, then we get like a picture of the political biases of the media. So to make this technical analysis possible, we based our work on the training data set that I've released some months ago, where we have actually annotated data set for this specific task of targeted sentiment analysis in 8 languages. So we're talking about problem with different languages such as Italian and Spanish, and we have it in this data set, and particularly we have Dutch. And so what we took is like we took the best BERT model-based language models. We trained it using a common way of training, and this is also and so in the model we input like the sentence, and the entity we're interested in. And at the output, we retrieve whether the sentiment expressed towards the entity is positive, negative, or neutral. A problem we have in this data set, and that we noticed when we released it, is that the Dutch model is not really strong. So we actually try to mitigate this by training it, continue its pre-training, adapting it on 700,000 Dutch political articles. And so we managed to improve quite a bit the performance. And so what we've done then is that we took the dataset CC News. So we retrieved from well, so it's a common crawl based dataset. So it's not that fully complete, but it's what it is. And then we filtered, like we got a list of Belgian political news outlets, and we filtered the domain names of those. We filtered to only keep the Flemish news articles. We did a near duplication using min hash LSH, which is done in the literature. So we had by the end 165,000 articles. Then we cut them into sentences, detected the entities, the persons in them. So we got 1.8 million mentions. And then using a model called mJar, we linked it to Wikipedia. And so this allowed us to enrich it with the profession of the people, their age, their gender, and their political party. And then using another database named PowerGov, we've been able to put it on the scale from right to left to establish their stance on the scale. And then so we filtered to only keep politicians we could affiliate with the party. So in the end, we have 560,000 Belgian politicians. And then we run our Dutch model, our targeted dependent sentiment classification model, to make our political biases analysis and our demographics analysis. So now the results. So here you can see basically the average sentiment per source. So this is something we found interesting because what we have is that so the main sources of news, the most popular, they are usually kind of neutral, and in the most negative ones, we often found like progressive journals such as Apache or more revolutionary one. So I think Humor is, and also like something that was a bit disturbing, because this is the first time I've seen that, is that those news, they all have TV in their name, and so it seems like news websites that also have like a web TV based channel, they tend to be more positive about the entities they're talking about in their news, in their news articles. Then we are able to actually make an analysis based on the frequency of mentions and the sentiment expressed toward those mentions. So basically what we have is that we have for each politician, we have been able to put it either in a political party that is estimated as being radical right, center left, or radical left. And so we can make an aggregation for each journal about the proportion of mentions that pertain to each of these political group and the average sentiment expressed towards them. And so that notably allows us to see that in Belgium, at least in the Flemish news, they don't speak a lot about the radical right or the radical left. It also allows us to see some characteristic of news that are, for example, Apache is a well-known progressive news outlet, so we can see that it's particularly negative towards the radical right compared to the others, and particularly positive to the radical left. I'll come back also to that, but we have some problems that that's kind of the limitations of the study. we're also able to tell like the average age of the politicians that are invited or that are talked about in the news articles. And so once again, we see like a trend for those websites that have also TV channels where they invite much younger politicians. Well, they don't invite, but they talk about much younger politicians. In terms of demographics, we're also able to tell what are the proportion of men, women, other genders that are mentioned in the news. And so we can see, like, for example, Apache is the only one that talks about trans women in a proportion that is visible, which is aligned with maybe the progressive stance of the journal. What is a bit disturbing is that it has a smaller proportion of female to male ratio, though. And we can also make analysis across time about this disproportion between male and female, and we see that there's apparently no evolution over time, despite the sensibilization. And so I'm coming to the limits in the conclusion. So there are some limits about the study because we have, for some domain names, limited amounts of data. So, and moreover, for radical right and radical left mentions, it can prevent having reliable results. There are also possibilities to improve the models of the pipeline. As I've shown, there are many steps, and each steps, the model are not perfect, even though as we make aggregated view, we kind of erase those statistical errors. Those analyses could be also improved using topic modeling, but it will require more data and better models to be able to like relate articles that are talking about the same subject and have enough data to characterize the stance of each media outlet on those issues. And so, in conclusion, we've demonstrated, like, through those tools, that there is a possibility for media experts to monitor their biases and their diversity of demographics through visual metrics that can allow them to comply with the Belgian regulation authorities, and also, yeah, get insight to actually maybe try to correct those biases. Thank you for your attention. I'll be pleased to answer any question you might have.